Hello and welcome to the 13th Annual Canadian Science Policy Conference, CSPC 2021. My name is Shweta Ganapati, and I'm joined today by Dr. Jean Lebel, President of IDRC, the International Development Research Centre. As president, Dr. Lebel leads IDRC's contributions to Canada's development, foreign policy, and global research and innovation efforts. Bonjour, Dr. Lebel, et bienvenue. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Bonjour, Shweta. Good day, everyone. Thank you for your very kind words and welcome. And please do call me Jean.
As you please. So Jean, when we spoke last year, you highlighted climate change and inequalities as slow burning issues that exacerbate other development challenges. A year later, what is your perspective on these challenges?
Well, if it was a slow burning issue or a set of issues last year, I don't think that they are any more or any less slow burning. I think that they are just accelerating and they are not disappearing. And we all knew this last year and we are still seeing it this year. So while, these two are present, there's the confounding and compounding factor of COVID-19 that is still present with us and that we're learning to live with. But the big picture is that these two, climate change and inequalities, are preventing us to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, by the time frame that has been set, 2030. And if we don't pay more attention, put more research to it, we are we are at risk of going backward, and in some area we have been sliding a little bit in the recent past. I think, for example, on the number of people that are suffering from malnutrition, the curve is not going in the right direction. The number of poor have increased. It's differentiated by region, but we are not at the right place because these problems are complex, they are urgent, and they need more than ever a science that is made globally and that can inform, the policy of various jurisdictions and the policy globally through the multilateralism.
Right. And so in this global context, how do you see the role of research from the global south in addressing these issues?
Well, it's fundamental. I don't have to situate the work of IDRC, for over 50 years now. Our bread and butter has been to support research and institution in the South for the research that they want to conduct and the result that they want to use in the context that they are facing with their government, with their whatever stakeholder. But the reality is dire. Reuters hot list of climate scientists a few months ago was reporting that, among the top 100, top of 100 researchers, 3/4 of them were coming from Europe or North America. While, there's 3/4 of population that live in Asia and Africa and are facing the hardship of climate change on a daily basis. So, we need to take careful attention to this. It's not because research in Europe and North America is not good or cannot inform Asia or Africa, but it's to secure the participation of Asian, African researcher and this global community to participate in the solution. So to bring their voice up, and bringing their voice up is what we're trying to support, what we have been supporting for the last 51 years. Similarly, I see on and on and on, publication that are extremely valid scientifically, but do not reach the problem that people are facing in the global south. In COVID-19 time, there's been a huge and massive amount of work that has been published. But, specific to the situation to Africa, it's a very small fraction. And still today, we are asking ourselves, how come, we don't see the same type of incidence of COVID? What is the difference between what is happening on various continents versus what is happening in our country? How come we are still, running behind, in terms of vaccine development, distribution, and usage in those jurisdictions? And if we don't look at this, we know that we are not resolving issues that are global in nature, and where the problem is seen in one place, you know, it's one place that is at risk of impacting another place where the problem is not present or the problem has been resolved.
Of course, it cannot be overemphasized how important it is for the most affected populations to also be part of the solutions, for their researchers to look at those problems, those research problems from their own lenses. So, of course, that's extremely important. So, you touched upon COVID-19 in your responses, and of course, we cannot get away from it. It is producing an added layer of complexity to all of this work, creating an unpredictable and rapidly evolving landscape. So, how has IDRC been responding?
Yeah, well, I don't remember last year I've talked of this, but if I repeat myself, my apologies. But one thing that is quite important is that, very early on, IDRC decided to assign a significant amount of its resources towards, research directly linked to the COVID situation. I'll give you a few examples. For example, we have developed, a program on rapid response initiative from, Global South researcher managed by Granting Council in the Global South. This has been extremely effective. The very easy example, one postdoc student, I think in Nigeria, developed, face shield produced locally with 3D printing, responding to acute needs of Nigeria and shortages of supply of personal protective equipment. Other example, is linked to what we have done with thinking about the future early on. So we have a series of think tanks that are looking at how we can rebuild the economy. What are the priorities to look into as we are moving, to a post-COVID world, where COVID might be with us for, quite a bit of time, but where there's a need, to have the eyes on the ball in terms of getting to much more normal stage. And that's important. We need research. We know, for example, that women are suffering extensively. In the informal sector, some of the research we have sponsored have showed that up to 40% of these informal workers, mostly women, lost all revenue. And that, government or system have not been picking them up. They have been forgotten. So you imagine the impact it has on them, on their family, and on the future of the country. So those are important elements. So working with the CIHR and with numbers of stakeholders, we help to support the development of the UN roadmap for research in a post-COVID world. And this was led by Stephen Hoffman, that I send my regards, but brought numbers of stakeholders and IDRC contribution with Dominique Charon, one of our vice president, but many also actors from the Global South, was to give a voice in order to have a plan that is robust and guide, the global world community in what should be the future of our societies here and abroad when you look at the post-COVID situation.
Right. So you pointed towards the disproportionate impacts of the pandemic in different parts of the world. You highlighted some trends in the informal sectors, impacts on women. How do you relate this research that IDRC invests in and does in the Global South? How do you relate that back to Canada? What are the lessons for Canada?
That's a very good question. The lesson for Canada are multiple. We could look into the details of what has been generated. But the lesson for Canada are already well embedded, I think, by the Granting Council, by the Chief Scientist, Mona Nemer, that have, and our own Minister of International Development, Madame Gould, that have pointed towards the problem with COVID will not be resolved until everyone is safe and sound. And that's, you know, evident with less than 5% of Africa that has got vaccinated against COVID. And that's very evident, with third dose that are being cited by WHO to be waiting. The guidance is wait in order to make sure that, at least the one that have not been vaccinated gets some. And you see all the challenge that it's created over here. So more research is needed. But I think pragmatically, there are things that we have learned in this pandemic, that make me having hopes in humanity. In Peru, we have women's group that have organized themselves very rapidly to cope with, the availability of food for the poorest, and have created, those community kitchen that we all know. Well, there's a research group that start to look at how we can have policy that improve those community kitchen delivery in order to answer the urgency of the moment. Well, who would have thought that community kitchen would be an object of research and there would be scientists that would make recommendations to improve the delivery and put it in the policy stream, and now is part of the Zero Hunger program of Peru, something that maybe has an application here in Canada. I'm always intrigued by these things that seem so common, but all of a sudden there's a researcher that take it, put the new lens, investigate, and come with practical solution that can make a world of difference in life and livelihood of peoples.
That's a really fascinating and encouraging story of, research and real world impact and social impact through research and research studying social impact. So that's really fascinating. And of course, this is not a time for siloed thinking, and we need those global perspectives. The pandemic has taught us that more than ever before, and of course, IDRC brings those global perspectives to us. And so now coming to why are we at the Canadian Science Policy Conference this year? So IDRC has supported CSPC, sponsored CSPC for several years now, and we're really thankful for that. And so how do you view CSPC's role in acting as a national hub for science and innovation policy?
Well, I think that we have been walking together for many years there. I think that, this is Canada probably most comprehensive, multi-sectoral and interdisciplinary forum to address emerging and urgent issues of science and policy. The audience, the topic, the way the conference is structured, I think make it very appealing, and we're quite pleased to participate. We have a few events in the week. But
Yes.
also, I think that the community that is gathered at CSPC goes beyond only the scientists. You have the entrepreneur, the policymaker, the politician, the student, and I value a lot the students, that are bringing fresh ID and are pushing the envelope and are helping us all guys, to move forward and, to capture and seize opportunity and break sometimes the little consensus of comfort that we have. So this helped to build, I think, a much more cohesive and collaborative science policy community. And it's vital for our work, particularly for us that look at research done and supported in the global south and how it entered the policy stream to make life and livelihood of people better. And this mission of mobilizing the knowledge fits extremely well with our strategy. We have set for the next 10 years that have research with impact, that we would share our knowledge, and that we will mobilize alliance in order to get the best of the research to influence not only the South, but to influence globally all of us. So that's very where CSPC and IDRC come together hand in hand, and I'm quite proud that we're supporting the conference and that we're participating actively. So thank you very much, Shweta, for giving us this opportunity.
Oh, the pleasure is ours. And on our part, we're delighted for IDRC to be hosting 3 panel sessions at the conference this year. So just to draw our viewers' attention to it, please don't miss out. On Monday, November 22nd, panel 172 on global innovation and local interventions for tackling COVID-19. On Thursday, November 25th, panel 911 on the importance of Southern research and international cooperation for addressing climate change and COVID-19. And finally, on Friday, November 26th, panel 637, that IDRC is co-hosting with the UKRI on equitable partnerships for climate change adaptation. You'll see the links in the video so you can get to these sessions easily. And with that, I will extend a heartfelt thanks on behalf of CSPC to Jean for this insightful conversation. And we're really glad to have you back at the conference.
Well, thank you very much, Shweta. And for our audience, don't forget to participate in #1 conference linking science and policy in Canada, the CSPC conference.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.